Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Pope Francis has made an appeal to the international community for weapons to be silenced. On Sunday, he said arms can never procure security and stability, while he prayed for peace in Israel and the Gaza Strip. He added that weapons can only succeed in destroying any hope for peace. His appeal comes at a time when the Israeli Defense Forces and the Islamic Jihad militants in the Gaza Strip have been engaged in conflict after an Israeli airstrike killed 3 of the top commanders of the group. As many as 13 lives have been lost in the clashes and airstrikes, including a 4-year-old. During the Regina Caeli, Pope Francis lamented the lives lost in the strike. The pontiff expressed hope that both parties lay down their weapons and engage in dialogue to resolve the conflict. Pope Francis met President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine in the Vatican on Saturday. During the 40-minute discussion between the two heads of state, the focus was on humanitarian efforts in the war-torn Eastern European nation. The Holy Father assured the President of his unceasing prayers and the prayers of believers, which are manifest in the numerous public appeals for Ukraine. Pope Francis stressed the need to continue providing uninterrupted humanitarian assistance. While the Pope gifted the Ukrainian head of state a bronze statue representing an olive branch symbolising peace, Zelensky's gift to the Holy Father was poignant. He gifted an artwork entitled Loss, made out of a bulletproof plate based on the killing of innocent children during the war. The leaders of the Church in Scandinavia paid a 2-day solidarity visit to Ukraine to express the care and concern of the Church in the Scandinavian region to the victims of war. Cardinal Anders Arborelius, Archbishop of Stockholm in Sweden, and Bishop Erik Varden, Prelate of Trondheim in Norway, travelled to Kiev on behalf of the Bishops' Conference of the Nordic countries. They went to Ukraine to express sympathy with the Ukrainians in their struggle and to express deep communion with the Ukrainian Catholic community. Both lauded the extraordinary resilience of Ukrainians. The Nordic bishops met with Bishop Vitaly Krivitsky, the Latin Rite Bishop of Kiev-Zhytomyr, as well as Major Archbishop Sviatoslav Shevchuk, the head of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church. They urged everyone to pray constantly and to show their solidarity by making donations to Caritas Spes Ukraine. The head of a crisis pregnancy centre in North Carolina that was vandalised last year has claimed that city and county leaders have been silent about the incident. In an interview with Fox News Digital, Christy Brown, who is the executive director of Mountain Area Pregnancy Services in Asheville, said that no one has called her to date to apologise for the attack. Mountain Area Pregnancy Service was among the pregnancy centres attacked by the pro-abortion group Jane's Revenge. After the Supreme Court's Roe v. Wade ruling was leaked, the group declared open season on pro-life businesses. In another incident, JMJ Pregnancy Centre, a pro-life pregnancy centre in Orlando, Florida, was attacked by vandals who left animal remains in front of the facility. Pope Francis has said that our society's birth rate is a key indicator of the hope people have in the future. During a 2-day symposium on the general state of the birth rate, the Pope said that if there are few births, then there is little hope. The conference reflected on Italy's demographic crisis, caused by one of the lowest birth rates in Europe. With only around 393,000 children born in Italy in 2022, the country experienced a record low birth rate. On Saturday, Pope Francis also expressed his sorrow over the legalisation of euthanasia in Portugal. Portugal's parliament now allows medically assisted suicide in limited cases. The Holy Father expressed his sorrow that a law to kill has been enacted during the Feast of Our Lady of Fatima in Portugal, the country where Our Lady of Fatima appeared to 3 shepherd children in a field in Fatima in Portugal in 1917. In response to challenges filed by 4 churches, 2 federal courts in California have ruled that the First Amendment preserves the church's right to reject elective abortion coverage in their health insurance plans. State officials have agreed to pay $1.4 million towards the attorney's fees for the churches. The abortion coverage requirement in California was contested in the lawsuits. The courts determined that the US Constitution safeguards the Church's freedom to function in accordance with their religious views. Attorneys from Alliance Defending Freedom are representing Skyline Wesleyan Church in a federal lawsuit together with Foothill Church in Glendora, Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills in Chino, and the Shepherd of the Hills Church in Porter Ranch. ADF Senior Counsel Jeremiah Gales said that California officials, in collaboration with Planned Parenthood, have unconstitutionally targeted faith-based organizations for years. He said the government can't force a church or any other religious employer to violate their faith and conscience by participating in funding abortion. In an in-depth interview with Jesuit magazine La Civiltà Cattolica, Bishop Peter Chow So-Yan, head of the Diocese of Hong Kong, said about a third of the dioceses of mainland China are waiting for episcopal appointments. The bishop said the Chinese Catholics honour Pope Francis as their Holy Father and appreciate what he is doing for the Church in China. He said they hope that the provisional agreement between China and the Holy See will bring desirable changes for the Church, including a meeting between Pope Francis and Chinese President Xi Jinping. The Australian Capital Territory government, headed by Chief Minister Andrew Barr, has come under fire for its swift action on Wednesday to nationalise one of Canberra's Catholic hospitals under the guise of the federal budget. This has caused shock among patients and employees after the Barr government announced it would acquire the facility and its land to move forward with a new North Side hospital, which is estimated to cost around $1 billion. Staff at the Catholic hospital were seen attempting to reassure visibly worried relatives of patients that care would continue as usual. The Catholic Sisters of the Little Company of Mary are currently in charge of running the Calvary Public Hospital. The official handover starts on May the 31st, with the acquisition to be completed on the 3rd of July. It is not clear how many staff will leave as a result of the acquisition. Meanwhile, Catholic platform Catholic Voice has filed an online petition to members of the Legislative Assembly to reject any attempts, legislative or otherwise, by the ACT government to acquire Calvary Hospital. On the evening of May the 12th, around 200 Christians gathered in Tahrir Square in the heart of Baghdad to express their support for Cardinal Louis Raphael Sacco, Patriarch of the Chaldean Church. He has recently been the target of online slander campaigns. Nuns and priests also participated in the demonstration, waving Iraqi flags, candles and banners with messages urging the authorities to take action to prevent major parties from filling the seats reserved for Christians in the Iraqi parliament. The Iraqi cardinal had also mentioned the possibility of having recourse to international justice bodies to protect the distribution of a share of parliamentary seats reserved for Iraqi Christians. In the United States, Texas lawmakers have voted to allow chaplains in public schools to combat mental health crises. The State House passed an amended version of the law on the 9th of May, with 89 votes in favour and 58 against. All chaplains will need to be endorsed by an organisation recognised by the Department of Defense, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, or the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. These chaplains are not required to be qualified by the State Board for educator certification. A previous version of the bill passed the State Senate last month. The chaplain bill is one of 3 religious-related bills now being debated in the legislature. National School Chaplain Association Chief Executive Officer Rocky Malloy said the bill will increase school safety and will not intrude on students' religious beliefs. In the European Parliament, 2 committees have expressed support for newly proposed rules on how generative artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT, can be developed and put to use in Europe. If the proposals are approved, they would be the first rules in the world to govern artificial intelligence technology. A vast majority of members of the Committee on Civil Liberties and Consumer Protection voted in favour of the draft Artificial Intelligence Act to bring in checks and measures to control generative AI. The draft explains what curbs need to be imposed on technology across Europe while allowing innovation at the same time. The draft regulation will now head to the Parliament in June for adoption. Its details will be finalised with European Union member nations and the European Commission before it is made into law. Archbishop Tarcisius Isao Kikuchi of Tokyo in Japan has been elected as the 13th President of Caritas Internationalis. Elected on Saturday, he will serve a 4-year term as the head of the Catholic Relief, Development and Social Service Organisation. In an interview with Vatican News, Archbishop Kikuchi shared his hopes for his new mission, as well as a message for the countless volunteers who manifest God's love in concrete acts of service. He said that Caritas, which operates in over 200 countries around the world, seeks to build a better world for the poor and oppressed. He added that the most important mission is to help people create hope to survive. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow for more, and do remember, you can always visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.